Champ Week comes to Asheville, North Carolina. The Southern Conference tournament begins on the men's side. We've got the 9-8 battle to start out in opening round action. The Catamounts of Western Carolina against the Bulldogs of the Citadel. So here's what the slate looks like. A couple of opening round games this evening, as we'll see a battle of the Cats and the Dogs first, and that's followed by Samford against Mercer in the 10-7 game. A half a dozen teams or so await for tomorrow's action as we are underway here in Asheville. And hi friends, and welcome in, along with Dean Keener, Pete Yannity with you. A battle between a couple of teams that I think everyone would agree are dangerous in a year that we think we're going to have a fabulous Southern Conference men's tournament. And the Citadel Bulldogs have done as big of a 180 as anyone in the country.
They have, right? They didn't win a single regular season conference game a year ago. Dugerbacham and staff, even with limited preparation in the offseason, has this team at 5 wins, but more importantly, playing good basketball. They're a dangerous team here in Asheville this weekend.
Now, Western Carolina, the 9 seed, but keep in mind, they started the season 6-1, struggled in conference play, but have gotten hot lately. They've got one of the best guards you'll find in mid-major hoops in Mason Faulkner.
Yeah, Mason Faulkner is as good as any guard in the Southern Conference, right? He was 3rd team this year, 2nd team a year ago, but he's got 1st team ability, and he's got ability at both ends of the court. He can get after you defensively, but he can push the ball in transition. He can score it, he can distribute it. He is the key for the Catamounts if they're going to be successful tonight and to move forward. For Citadel, well, Hayden Brown, 1st team. He was a 1st team All-Southern Conference selection. Led the SoCon in scoring and rebounding. As you see there, averaged a double-double. He's a big reason why the Bulldogs had success this year. Oh, by the way, shoots 51% from the floor. He is taking and making good shots.
Hayden Brown was in the conversation for SoCon Player of the Year. He appeared in just 6 games a season ago. What a difference he has made for this Citadel team. Let's hear from the 3rd member of our crew, Aaron Summers. Aaron?
Thanks, Pete. When Western Carolina head coach Mark Prosser found out that they'd be facing the Citadel in the opening rounds, he didn't mince his words. He said he absolutely hated the matchup. The Citadel just has such elite shooters, and they can create a lot of problems for a team. Although Prosser did admit he probably wouldn't have liked to play anybody in the SoCon because of the depth of this league. For anybody playing today, however, it's going to be a difficult task, as no team has won 4 straight games to win a title since 1939 when Clemson did it. Pete?
That Clemson team had a star named Banks McFadden. Perhaps Mason Faulkner or Hayden Brown can serve in such a role for his respective team and lead them on a Cinderella run this weekend here in Asheville. So good to have you on board. So let's dig a little further into this battle between the Citadel and Western Carolina with our building blocks for the game presented by General Shale.
For the Catamounts, they need to be focused from the tip. They need a good start. They've not always done that in the regular season, and they've got to take care of the rock, right? They've got to limit unforced turnovers. For the Citadel, share the wealth. They need to be balanced, and they've got to compete on the boards.
And they've got to have an answer for Mason Faulkner. More on the Cincinnati area native from Aaron.
Coach Prosser says that Faulkner just is a guy that's going to play no matter what through injuries. He's had a couple nagging injuries this year, but he's going to play no excuses. He's tough, and the team feeds off that. He's a player that has an NCAA tournament ring and knows what it means to play in championship games. He's an emotional, vocal leader, and this team really just feeds off his energy.
3 early rebounds for the standout for the Bulldogs. 1st team All-SoCon driving in on Ty Harris, couldn't get it to go.
That's just what you were talking about with your conversation with Coach Balcom, of not playing off at 2 feet there, of a whirling derby shot.
That's the Cameron Gibson they saw when he arrived a few years ago. Was one of the best freshmen in the Southern Conference. Fitzgibbons, battle for the rebound. Rice unable to save it for the Citadel team.
Pete, Western Carolina, they were 7-3 in November and December, actually at Christmas. They went home at the break at 7-3, and then after a loss at ETSU, went on a 15-day pause. And I don't think they've ever kind of gotten that swagger back.
A Bulldogs team that's mighty interesting, and from the outside, AB can't get it to go down. Fitzgibbons able to save. Gammons just onto the floor. And Brown got hung up for a moment underneath Hightower. Let's send it over to Aaron.
Pete, and talking about Coach Bacham and what he's done at the Citadel, he said that he really likes to recruit shooters, perimeter players who can be multifaceted on the defensive end as well, because when you're recruiting at a military school, you're just not going to be able to get the type of size that some of these other Southern Conference schools are going to get. As you see, that one gets dumped off inside. Those big guys, they don't do well marching. That's what Bacham said, so he works more with some of these agile guards. Pete.
I don't know if anyone on our crew would do all that well marching. I speak for myself first and foremost. And Cameron Gibson, 43% in limited opportunities this year since returning from the injury.
Yep, he's got a chance. Just needs strength and continued time, but really got a nice ceiling to his game.
Faulkner from beyond the arc. His first 3 of the game, give him 10. First player in double figures. It has been a shootout between the guys we featured as Hayden Brown has 9. Moff, not necessarily known as a shooter, 37%. He usually defers to AB and Rice and others, but that was needed. Makes it a 5-point game once again.
And Faulkner's a guy that, if you go way back in high school, he led the state of Kentucky his senior year at 36 points a game. Brown can't get that jump hook to go, but kind of AKA Moses Malone, he gets a rebound to pad the stats and then gets the 2 points on the backside.
Citadel was minus 16 in points in the paint a couple of games ago when they lost against Mercer, but they've got a dozen plus now 14 points in the paint in this game of the 26 they've scored. Halverson attacking the basket.
Cut into this 7-point deficit. They're going to have to score, but more importantly, they got to come up with some stops.
Moff a strong move. Rice, as the shot clock didn't reset.
Yeah, that's understanding time and score in a tournament setting where it's one and done.
Moff will try another 3. Rice battling, took it away from Gibson, and he gets a little runner from the side of the basket. 10 seconds to go. Faulkner, you have a feeling the ball may not leave his possession on this trip. He thought about the shot and said he lobs for Cork. Clark defends. Clark had 2 fouls. Xavier Cork, couple of late baskets to stretch the lead. Back out to 7 for Western Carolina as we head into halftime. The number 9 seed, but don't let the sticker sell you short here. This is a really good Catamounts team, and Xavier Cork gives them the ability to score inside. Mark Prosser is their 3rd-year head coach. He visits with Aaron. Aaron?
Coach, it's been a battle through the first half. What area do you feel like you have the ability to take advantage of going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, they were a little bit tougher than us coming down the stretch. They hurt us on the offensive glass a little bit. I think we missed some shots early around the rim and really from the arc that we typically make. So I think there was some nerves involved as well. But we have to get better at the defensive end of the floor. We have to finish possessions. And again, probably have a chance at the end.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
8 of Western Carolina's 11 wins this season have come when they're ahead at the half. The Citadel Bulldogs are 4-8 at the break when they trail. Duggar Baucom hopes there's a rally in store for his team from Charleston. Survive and advance, that's the theme here in Asheville. Getting ready for our second half here in Asheville. Mason Faulkner and the Catamounts of Western Carolina. A 7-point advantage against the Citadel. Western Carolina, the 9 seed. The Citadel Bulldogs, the 8 seed, the first of our 2 opening round games here at the 2021 Ingalls SoCon Championship presented by General Shale. Pete Hannity, Dean Keener with you. We've talked a lot about points in the paint and 3-point shooting, but you look at a 7-point game, and the Catamounts have made 10 of 11 free throws, 7 free throws made more than the Citadel. There's your difference.
Absolutely the difference. Both teams with 13 made field goals, both with 3 3-point field goals. But the difference is the Citadel, never got into the bonus. And Western Carolina was able to not only get to the bonus, but they were able to get to the rim and get fouled. And there's your difference, 7 points, 7 free throws.
Take a look at the opening half highlights where fouls are also part of the story too. But we featured the 2-star players on each team, and they have not disappointed. They leave their respective squads in scoring.
Not at all. 2 outstanding all-Southern Conference selections. Mason Faulkner did what Mason Faulkner does best. He directed the basketball club, he picked his spots, and he limited his turnovers. But the main thing was he really led them and put them in a position to where they can have success. For Hayden Brown, much the same. Right, he's a guy that 13 points, 7 rebounds. He's on his way to yet another double-double. He's got 12 on the season, but he's going to need some help.
As we get ready for our second half, Aaron Summers visited with Mark Prosser going into halftime, and let us send it over her way as we look at the numbers so far, with Faulkner 10 points and Hayden Brown 13 points. But as the Citadel's head coach Durger Balkum is trying to bring his team back from 7 down, I'm sure that he had plenty to say to his squad at the half, Aaron.
Pete, Coach Balkum said that frankly they're just not playing Citadel basketball at all. They're not sharing the ball on the offensive end with only 3 assists in the first half, and they're not getting good looks. He said that is making us play really bad on the defensive end. We can't let our defense be predicated by whether or not we're making shots on the offensive end, and we're fouling entirely too much, Pete.
Here come the Bulldogs. Trailed for most of that opening half after we had a flurry of early lead changes. Brown out front. And Xavier Cork, another rebound for Western Carolina. Oh, Hayden Brown reaching way up there.
You saw that like a center fielder. Couldn't corral it, but it enough to deflect it. Another turnover for Western Carolina. Not the start the Catamounts wanted. Citadel dictating everything here in the first minute and a half.
Fletcher Aby gets it back from Brown. They always try to look to feed it into their big man Brown. In that case, he takes it from down below and throws it home on the nice feed from Clark.
Boy, nice cut by Brown. He recognized his teammate. It kind of picked his dribble up, and it was dead on the baseline, nowhere to go.
Other end, nice defensive effort. Stephen Clark came into this game with nearly 50 blocks on the year. Here's Brown, and one. Chance to get to 18 points in the game with this free throw.
Boy, you watch the last 2 possessions. Clark gets the baseline, and there's the cutting Brown. And then on the pursuing possession, just a little bit of a hesitation to get Hightower out of his defensive stance. Brown a chance at the old-fashioned three-point play.
Losing the handle is Brown. Faulkner with only Moff to beat. Mason Faulkner building on his night.
Clark's had the assist to the cutting Brown. He's had a block on Cork at the defensive end. And now a nice drive right there.
Aby, Fletcher Aby. That could be trouble for Western Carolina. For Cork, that works out better for Western Carolina because the big fella picks up just his first. And Aby, 2 in a row.
Boy, what a terrific designed and executed out of bounds. A flex cut and then a down screen for Aby. Welcome back to Harrah's Cherokee Center in Asheville, where it has, for the most part, been all Citadel here in the early going of the second half, mainly by the 3-ball, and they have shared it. Tyler Moff and then Fletcher Aby with 2. That is a big reason why the Citadel has sprinted out 15-4 here in the second half and now lead by 4. Citadel, freshmen are knobs. It's just that experience can be difficult for a student athlete. So yeah, anytime you can get a graduate that doesn't have to go through that, and oh, by the way, can enjoy some of the benefits of Charleston, South Carolina, pretty good selling point.
Hightower, really nice follow off the Halverson miss. And as it turns out, because Brown's now a graduate, he and Moff, they share a place out on Johns Island. Rice forcing it, and why not, over McMahon.
Not to downplay Rice's acrobatic 3. Repeat that again. That of what Brown and Moff.
So, as McMahon's able to rattle one home, suddenly the teams are heating up from beyond the arc after each struggled in the opening half. So a couple of guys who go to a military school, and for Brown, he had to go through the full experience of wearing the uniform and going through all that, but they're at a military school in Charleston, South Carolina, which has a great restaurant every 2 feet.
Yep.
Living out on Johns Island, probably can walk to the beach. And
that's pretty good living.
Yeah, there you have it. Let's send it over to Aaron.
You're talking about Hayden Brown and how Western Carolina must have been talking about him and needing to get some bodies on him coming into the game. However, they're still talking about it during the game. Mark Prosser talking about it in the last huddle, saying that you cannot let him get into rhythm threes. You need to make sure that you're defending on ball and helping on the defensive end. And then a point of focus for them offensively is getting downhill, really wanting to kind of start doing that more, get more paint touches since they're not shooting as well from outside.
Yeah, it's an excellent point, Aaron, right? The thing is, you've got to get stops in order to get into transition and get going downhill. Otherwise, you're going to face that matchup zone that Citadel's been employing.
Catching up to the Catamounts. That's their fifth. Cork inside, knocked away by Clark, taken by Webster.
Boy, been really impressed with Clark's overall game. He's been a real factor in this thing, even though not everything will show up in the stats.
Webster almost traveled. Gets it to a teammate. Plenty of time, and AB will get it out of there. Maybe. Now to Fitzgibbons to restore order. He'll fire out front. Citadel Bulldogs couldn't throw it in the ocean beyond the arc in the opening half, but in the second half, that's been a big reason why they've built the lead out to 56-49. Bullet pass for Cork. Probably didn't need to take the hop step, but finishes with that signature hook he's developed this year.
Well, when you see that, you want more of that as a Catamount coach or fan.
AB on the cut. Give Clark the assist.
Boy, Clark, great court vision, but he's also been the benefactor of some great individual cuts and moves by teammates, Brown and that time AB, as long as they stay focused. And it's really because they've got so many long-range shooters.
7 of 9 beyond the arc for the Bulldogs team this half. Clark has stepped up big. They'll count on even more of that. Moff getting past Faulkner and getting all the way to the basket.
Faulkner did that to Moff in the first half. Tyler returning the favor.
12-point lead, matching the biggest of the night for the Citadel. Halverson. He can't get it to go. Keep in mind, nursing their leading scorer Hayden Brown along with 3 fouls coming out of the locker room. Shot clock though way down there. Fitzgibbons, wow. Ty Harris did everything he could do. Sometimes it's just your night.
Sometimes offense is just better than defense. And this has not been an up and down game in the sense of like the way Citadel used to play. And so that's something that Western Carolina will have to get cleaned up in the offseason. They're going to have to become better defensively. But they will. Mark Prosser and staff too good. Never want the season to come to an end. You go through withdrawals for a while, but then you got to get back to work. But for the Citadel Bulldogs, Hayden Brown, they live for another day, and they've got a chance to play on quarterfinal Saturday against the #1 seed UNCG Spartans.
68 points in the second half for the Citadel Bulldogs. They get another 100-point game in their column. They had one earlier this year when they actually lost at VMI, and Western Carolina gives up 100 for the first time this season. The Citadel Bulldogs have moved on. You see them now up top of the bracket, getting ready for a noon game on Saturday. They'll take on #1 seed UNCG. What an effort for the Bulldogs, Caden Rice and company. We're on fire in the second half, and they pull away for the win. It ends for Western Carolina at 11-16. For Dean Keener and Aaron Summers, Pete Hannity saying so long. We're back in a bit with Mercer and Sanford.